Mercury in the fifth house of a natal chart creates a vibrant bridge between the analytical mind and the creative spirit. Often referred to as the house of good fortune, the fifth house governs creativity, romance, children, and speculative risks. When the planet of communication and intellect resides here, life becomes a playground for the mind. The intellectualization of joy. For an individual with this placement, pleasure is rarely a passive experience. Mercury here suggests that fun must be mentally stimulating. These are the people who enjoy complex board games, clever wordplay, or hobbies that require a high degree of manual dexterity and mental agility. There is a deep-seated need to understand the mechanics of joy. Whether it is the theory behind a piece of music or the strategy of a game, Mercury in the fifth house finds satisfaction in the how and why of their entertainment. Creative expression and communication. The fifth house is the seat of the inner child, and Mercury ensures that this child is exceptionally articulate. Creative expression often takes a literary or verbal form, writing, poetry, songwriting, or public speaking. Even if the person pursues visual arts, there is usually a narrative or a message behind the work. They possess a dramatic flair in their speech, often using humor, mimicry, or storytelling to captivate an audience. The mind is restless and prolific, constantly generating new ideas, though the challenge often lies in finishing the many projects their fertile imagination starts. Romance is a mental game. In the realm of romance, Mercury in the fifth house indicates that the way to this person's heart is through their head. Sapiosexuality is a common trait. They are attracted to wit, intelligence, and a quick tongue. For them, flirting is a linguistic art form. They crave a partner who can keep up with their banter and engage in spirited debates. However, there can be a tendency to overthink matters of the heart. Instead of simply feeling an emotion, they may analyze it, categorize it, and talk it to death, which can sometimes create a sense of emotional detachment or flightiness in relationships. Connections with children and teaching. This placement often signifies a youthful disposition that lasts well into adulthood. Because they speak the language of curiosity, they often get along famously with children and young people. They make excellent teachers or mentors because they can break down complex ideas into engaging, playful concepts. As parents, they focus heavily on the intellectual development and education of their children, encouraging them to ask questions and think for themselves. The risk of mental restlessness. On the shadow side, Mercury in the fifth house can lead to a certain degree of intellectual vanity or a jack-of-all-trades energy. Because they are so quick to grasp new concepts, they may jump from one hobby or crush to the next without developing true depth. There is also a propensity for gambling, not necessarily with money, but with ideas and situations. The nervous energy of Mercury can make them prone to anxiety if they don't have a creative outlet to funnel their constant stream of thoughts. Synthesis. Ultimately, Mercury in the fifth house is the signature of the creative intellectual. It suggests a life where the mind is the primary tool for self-actualization. By learning to balance their analytical nature with the raw, spontaneous heat of the fifth house, these individuals can become master communicators who bring a sense of wonder and cleverness to everything they touch. They remind us that the mind is not just a tool for survival, but a magnificent instrument for play. When Mercury in the fifth house moves through the zodiac signs, the flavor of one's creative intellect changes. Here is a brief look at how this placement manifests across the wheel. Fire signs, the enthusiasts. Aries, communication is bold, impulsive, and competitive. Creative ideas come in sudden flashes of heat, and they love being the first to discover a new hobby or game. Leo, the ultimate performer. Mercury here speaks with authority and dramatic flair. Their creativity is tied to their identity, and they crave an audience for their intellectual feats. Sagittarius, the mind is focused on big-picture philosophy and adventure. They find joy in learning about foreign cultures or debating ethics, often using humor and satire to make a point. Earth signs, the craftspeople. Taurus, creative expression is slow, deliberate, and often tactile. They possess a voice, literal or literary, that is soothing and persistent. They find pleasure in practical hobbies like gardening or pottery. Virgo, the mind is highly technical and precise. Joy is found in the details, puzzles, coding, or intricate crafts. They are the most likely to work at their hobbies until they reach perfection. Capricorn, a serious approach to fun. They often turn their creative passions into structured businesses. Their wit is dry, sarcastic, and they appreciate games of strategy and long-term planning. Air signs, the socialites. Gemini, double the curiosity. This is a highly restless placement that needs constant variety. They are masters of wordplay and may juggle 3 different creative projects at once just to stay interested. Libra, creativity is expressed through aesthetics, balance, and social harmony. They are charming flirts who use their intellect to bridge gaps between people, often finding joy in art and design. Aquarius, the mad scientist vibe. Their hobbies are often unconventional or tech-oriented. They express their creativity through original, sometimes rebellious ideas that challenge the status quo. Water signs, the empaths. Cancer, mental energy is fueled by emotion and nostalgia. They may enjoy creative writing about the past or storytelling that evokes a deep feeling of home and safety. Scorpio, intense and investigative. They find pleasure in uncovering secrets or solving mysteries. Their creative work often has a dark, magnetic, or transformative edge to it. Pisces, the imagination is boundless and poetic. The mind often wanders into daydreams, and they express themselves through metaphor and abstract art. Their thinking is more intuitive than logical. The transit of Mercury through the 5th house is a brief but potent period, lasting roughly 2 to 3 weeks, where the focus of the mind shifts from the heavy responsibilities of the home or career toward the lighter, more exuberant realms of play. While a natal placement describes a lifelong personality trait, a transit represents a temporary mental season. It is a time when the universe grants you permission to stop overanalyzing your problems and start overanalyzing your passions instead. The spark of creative momentum. When transiting Mercury enters the 5th house, the intellectual static of daily life begins to clear, making room for creative breakthroughs. This is one of the best windows for brainstorming, beginning a new writing project, or returning to a hobby that requires mental agility. If you have been experiencing writer's block or a lack of inspiration, this transit acts as a refreshing breeze. You aren't just thinking, you are thinking vividly. Ideas feel more colorful, and your ability to articulate your inner vision is at its peak. It is a time to play with ideas without the immediate pressure of making them productive. Strategic risks and speculation. The 5th house governs speculation and gambling. With the planet of logic moving through this sector, your approach to risk becomes more calculated. This isn't necessarily about going to a casino, it's about the gambles we take in life, investing in a new idea, pitching a bold proposal, or taking a chance on a person. During this transit, you are better equipped to weigh the odds. However, Mercury's speed can also breed overconfidence. There is a temptation to believe you can outthink the system, so while your strategic mind is sharp, the impulse to make a snap decision remains a shadow to watch out for. The art of the flirt. Socially, this transit turns up the volume on your charm. Communication becomes your primary tool for attraction. In existing relationships, this is a period of renewed fun. Expect more inside jokes, playful banter, and perhaps a lighter, less serious tone in conversations with your partner. If you are single, you may find yourself attracted to people who challenge you intellectually. A date during this transit is more likely to be a trip to a trivia night or a spirited debate over coffee than a quiet, sentimental dinner. You are looking for a mental match, and you have the verbal dexterity to ensure you find one. Connections with the younger generation. Mercury represents the youth, and the 5th house represents children. When they collide in transit, it often brings more interaction with young people or a personal return to a more youthful mindset. It is an excellent time for teaching, mentoring, or simply engaging in the kind of play that requires a child's imagination. You may find that you understand the language of the younger generation more easily right now, or you might find yourself preoccupied with memories and lessons from your own childhood. Summary: the mind at play. The core lesson of Mercury transiting the fifth house is that intelligence is a form of joy. It is a reminder that we don't always have to use our minds to solve crises or manage spreadsheets. We can use them to create, to laugh, and to connect. During these few weeks, your greatest asset is your wit. Whether you are writing a poem, masterminding a strategy, or simply making a friend laugh until they cry, you are operating at your most expressive frequency. The key is to enjoy the mental fireworks without getting so lost in the game that you forget to stay grounded in reality. Subscribe, like, and share.